The first sign that the night would change everything came in the form of a single sentence that stopped time. She looked across the small candlelit table, her eyes suddenly heavy with something deeper than awkwardness, and said quietly, almost apologetically, "You can leave. I'm a single mom." For a moment, the world around them seemed to fade. The soft music in the restaurant, the quiet conversations at nearby tables, even the clinking of glasses disappeared into a distant blur. It felt like one of those strange moments when life pauses just long enough for a decision to shape the rest of your story. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of understanding someone's hidden struggles, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to our channel Kindness. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Mark never expected his first date in nearly 4 years to go this well. In fact, he almost canceled it 3 times that afternoon. Life had been quiet for him since his wife passed away unexpectedly. Quiet in the kind of way that echoes, the kind of silence that fills every corner of the house once the kids finally fall asleep. Every morning he woke up before sunrise to make breakfast for his 5-year-old daughter, Emma. He braided her hair with clumsy fingers, packed her lunchbox, and drove her to kindergarten before heading to his job as a mechanic. The days were busy, but the nights were long. Friends kept telling him he deserved to move forward, to meet someone new, to let life open another door. But Mark always felt like his heart was standing in front of that door, unsure if it had the strength to walk through. Then one evening, while scrolling through his phone after Emma had fallen asleep on the couch beside him, he saw her profile. Her name was Lily. Her smile wasn't perfect like the polished photos people often posted online. It was softer, more real. The kind of smile that suggested someone who had known pain but chose warmth anyway. They exchanged a few messages over the next week. The conversations were simple but comfortable. She laughed at his terrible jokes and shared small stories about her love for rainy days and coffee shops. For the first time in years, Mark felt something unfamiliar stirring inside him. Hope. So when they finally agreed to meet at a small neighborhood restaurant on a quiet Friday evening, Mark arrived 15 minutes early, nervously adjusting the collar of the only decent shirt he owned. And when Lily walked in, everything felt strangely easy. They talked about childhood, memories, favorite movies, and embarrassing moments from their teenage years. They laughed more than Mark expected, and every minute that passed made him feel lighter. For the first time since his wife's passing, he didn't feel like the weight of the world was pressing down on his chest. But Lily, though smiling, seemed to carry a quiet tension in her eyes. As the evening went on, that tension slowly grew. Finally, she placed her fork down and took a deep breath. Her voice softened as she said the words that froze the moment. "You can leave. I'm a single mom." To anyone else, it might have sounded like a warning. To Mark, it sounded painfully familiar. He looked at her carefully, noticing how she avoided eye contact, how her fingers nervously twisted the edge of a napkin. It was the posture of someone who had said this sentence before. Someone who had watched people stand up and walk away after hearing it. Lily wasn't trying to scare him off. She was trying to protect herself from disappointment. Mark leaned back slightly, letting the moment breathe. He understood something she didn't know yet. Because the truth was, he had been hiding something too. Not because he was ashamed, but because the right moment hadn't arrived. Until now. He gently reached into his wallet and pulled out a small, slightly worn photo. The picture showed a little girl with bright eyes and messy pigtails, grinning widely while holding a half-melted ice cream cone. Mark placed the photo on the table and slid it toward her. Lily's eyes slowly moved down to the image, then widened. "She's my daughter," Mark said quietly. Her lips parted slightly as realization began to form. The air between them shifted. All the fear Lily had prepared herself for suddenly seemed to dissolve into confusion. Mark wasn't leaving. If anything, he looked more relaxed than before. For years, he had walked through life carrying the invisible label of single dad. Some people admired it. Others quietly avoided the responsibility that came with loving someone who already had a child depending on them. But Mark had learned something important along the way. The people who truly mattered were the ones who didn't see children as baggage. They saw them as part of the story. Lily's eyes began to fill with tears she quickly tried to hide. She admitted softly that this was the part of dating she hated most. The moment when she revealed she had a 3-year-old son. The moment when men suddenly remembered they had early mornings or important meetings. The moment when hope quietly slipped out the door. But tonight, something unexpected happened. Mark didn't move. Instead, he smiled. Not the polite smile of someone trying to avoid awkwardness, a real one, the kind that reached his eyes. The rest of the evening changed after that. The conversation grew deeper. They talked about sleepless nights with sick kids, the chaos of balancing work and parenting, the guilt of feeling like you're never doing enough. For the first time in a long time, both of them felt understood, not judged, not pitied, just understood. When the date finally ended, they walked outside into the cool night air. The streetlights cast warm golden circles on the pavement, and the world felt quieter than before. Mark walked Lily to her car. They paused for a moment, both aware that something important had shifted between them. Not love, not yet, but something just as rare. Possibility. Over the next few weeks they met again. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long walks in the park. Eventually, the moment came when they introduced their children. Emma was shy at first, hiding behind Mark's leg. Lily's little boy Noah clutched a toy dinosaur like it was his shield. But children have a beautiful way of breaking down walls adults spend years building. Within 20 minutes, they were chasing each other around the playground, laughing like they had known each other forever. Mark and Lily sat on a nearby bench watching them. Neither said much. Sometimes silence carries more meaning than words. They both knew life wouldn't be easy. Two single parents trying to build something new meant juggling schedules, emotions, and responsibilities. But they also knew something else. They weren't alone anymore. Before we reach the end of this story, we have a small special request for you. If you've ever believed that people deserve second chances at happiness, type the word hope in the comments. Because stories like this remind us that life doesn't end when things fall apart. Sometimes that's exactly where the next chapter begins. Months later, Mark would look back on that first date and realize something incredible. The moment Lily told him he could leave was actually the moment everything began. Two people, both carrying broken pieces of their past, had unknowingly stepped into each other's healing, not by rescuing one another, but by understanding. And sometimes, that's the most powerful form of love there is. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Kindness for more real stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Because somewhere out there tonight, two people who think their story is over